finally got things up and running. Sorry that I was 2 minutes late. 2 minutes late, probably no big deal. Hey, you know what would be awesome is I don't have any monitoring of like how stuff is going. So if there's anybody in the chat that wants to let me know, does video look good? Does audio sound good? Because I have no idea. I have absolutely no idea whether things are working or not. So let me know. This could be a train wreck. I have no idea. Never done this. This is all new to me. So cool. I'm probably going to wait a couple minutes before I actually start doing stuff. So it might be a little bit slow to start here. Hey, cool. You can hear me. Awesome. Thank you for that. How's it sound? Does it sound any good at all? I have this little lapel microphone. You probably can't see it, but it's there. Does it sound okay? Like, I don't know. Give me like a 1 out of 10. How is it? Loud enough? Do you hear my clothes shuffling around? Next time I'll probably be a little bit more confident that things are working properly. Cool. Sounds good. Awesome. Okay. So I guess we're going to solder together a RasSCSI. And not only are we soldering together a RasSCSI, but we're also testing everything. My camera setup, my DSL line, my home network, like all of this is completely unproven. My soldering skills completely unproven. So yeah, this could be a complete and total train wreck, but we will see how it goes. Oh, Lando Griffin. Hey, how's it going? All right, let's crack open the box and see what we've got to work with here. So here is the box, and I already have cracked this open and looked at it already, but so the first thing that stuck out to me were these awesome stickers. In fact, I want to show you these a little bit more up close. And so now we're going to test how good my camera switching abilities are. Bam. Different camera. Look at these. Aren't these awesome? There's just something so satisfying about the Happy Mac. I just love the Happy Mac so much. It's so satisfying. So yeah, I was really happy to see these. So probably should have put these on that kind of like title screen. Okay, let's just shuffle through all the stuff that we have. Next, we have the RasSCSI itself, and let's get a little bit closer in on that. And oh, we don't have very much light there, do we? Yeah, there's not a whole lot of light on that. Let me see if I can fix that really quick. Can I bring like another light down? I don't even know. Like I said, this is going to be a total and complete train wreck because I have no idea what I'm doing. Yeah, lighting, that might be just about as good as we get on lighting. But anyway, this is the very excellent RasSCSI board. I am completely in awe of the design of these little boards, and this is something I really badly want to learn to do. And so I've played around in CAD stuff a little bit. I own a copy of Fusion 360, which includes Eagle, and I would really like to learn how to do this. You know, my brother did the packet potato board for me, but he pretty much did it for me. Like, I gave him a sketch, and he came up with the packet potato. You know, he got the finer points of, like, I got it working on a breadboard, but then he got the finer points of the actual circuitry worked out, and then he actually did the PCB layout, and then I kind of took over from there and ordered boards from, you know, a PCB fab place in China or whatever. But I don't know how to do this part of it at all. I don't know how to design this kind of thing, and so that is something I really would love to learn how to do. So if anybody has any resources they could point me towards to be like, hey, if you're kind of familiar with Arduino stuff and you understand, like, you know, how to plug LEDs into stuff, like, here's the next step. I would really love to kind of go to that next step at some point. So anyway, that's the RasSCSI board itself. So let's take a look at the rest of these components really quick. So I'm going to come back to a different camera, take a look at everything else. By the way, in a perfect world, I would have made like a produced video on how to assemble this. You know, maybe got a couple of them, but man, I just don't have time. It's just been really, really difficult to find time. Okay, so a few headers and things. I'm actually going to bring in the top camera because I think it's going to do a little bit better job from the lighting perspective. So we have a couple of what are these, DB25 connectors? I think these are DB25s, if I remember correctly. Yeah, a couple DB25s. I have no idea how many pins that is. I'm not going to count right now. What, 50 pin SCSI connector? I forget. Got a couple of pin headers. We've got, I don't remember if that's called a male or female connector, but I'm pretty sure it goes like this. We'll talk about that a little bit later. Oh, hey, my little tube of ICs kind of came apart. Man, I forget what these little guys are. Let me look at the board really quick. So actually, I'm going to bring the closer camera back up. Like I said, this is going to be a ton of experimentation as I learn what to do here. So there's a little switch that got caught on the tape. That got caught on the tape right there as well. But we've got a couple switches right there. Those are neat. I've never seen two little switches on one package like that before. I like that. And I don't remember what these ICs do, but I think they're like a voltage, like a logic voltage converter or something like that. Like they take a certain voltage and spit out a certain voltage on the other side, if I remember correctly. You know what, let's try out the really, really close, the microscope view. Let me get it into focus really fast here. Oh, I'm so sorry about my terrible, terrible live streaming skills here. So my understanding is that selecting this IC was a ton of work because it's kind of expensive. And so I'm going to be very, very careful with these, and I'm nervous about soldering these. Like, you know, there's a lot of pins. It's a pretty small surface mount package, but it should be okay. We should be able to do it. So notice that there's actually several of these. One of them fell out of the tube, but those are all the same thing. So there's four of those little guys. Okay, what do we got next? Next we have the daisy chain board. So, man, that light, oh, I know what it is. I think it's overexposure because my microscope is right next door here and it has its own light built in. Okay, that's better. It's still not great. Yeah, I'm sorry if that's expensive. They're like $3 to $4 each. Yeah, but in the world of ICs, like that's not very cheap, right? I mean, like when I did the packet potato, like the most expensive IC on there was the little display controller. And I think if I did like a big order of them, like 50, they were like 50 cents each. But that took like 6 weeks to get them. But if I ordered, I don't know, like 10 of them, they were like $3 each. And so, yeah, it was a lot more expensive. So this little guy is for daisy chaining, or basically putting a second. So you remember how there's these two, I really hope these are DB25s, whatever these are. It's so that you have one of these that goes on the main board, and then this one goes on this little board, this little daisy chain board. So I'm excited to see kind of what that looks like to put together. So, all right, let's bring the top down. Camera back for a minute here. Oh, one last thing that I forgot about is we'll come back down to our very close little camera. Yeah, I'm definitely learning how to use OBS. I've never used OBS before. We have a micro USB connector here as well. So cool. Very good. Okay, that's basically all of the parts. So let's get cameras organized and stuff really quickly. So one thing you may notice is that my camera is actually my iPhone. That's what I'm using as a camera. So I have it on some 3D printed parts to connect it to a boom. And so that way you can see approximately what I am seeing. Just gonna line things up a little bit, maybe get a little bit closer to the work surface here. And then, if you're curious, second camera is, this is kind of janky, but my friend Keith Parsons from Wireless Land Pros sent me this document camera. So I'll switch over to that one now so you can kind of see what that looks like. So here's the document camera, really nice and sharp. I'm pretty sure it's 1080p. The lights are actually, I think, maybe they're from my microscope again. I can't remember. Yeah. And then next to it, this is the document camera. This is actually a cheapo USB microscope. This is like $20 on Amazon. It's like a Cable Matters USB microscope. So I 3D printed, I just did a quick part in Fusion 360. I 3D printed a little clamp that holds that on the same boom. And so that way, these are on basically the same piece of hardware. So if I want to get you, you know, a Wayne's World extreme close-up, we can do that. We can get nice. That's not really in focus, and I think there's a little overexposed, but you get the idea. So anyway, let's, one last thing that I was going to do before this is that I actually got a quick email from Tony. So far, 3 out of 3 people, including me, have made the same mistake when assembling their RasSCSI for the first time. Make a special note of the orientation on IC 1 and 2 versus IC 3 and 4. Don't assume that they are all oriented the same way. Check for the dot on the chip. Make sure it matches the circle on the board. Yeah, okay, that's pretty clear. I could have easily made that mistake. So let me show you really quickly what Tony was talking about in that email. Man, that glare, where the heck is that coming from? I think it is just coming from the, yeah, it's coming from the microscope. They're still there because you can see those 4 little LEDs that are still on, but that's a lot better. So let's get up nice and close to this board because I want to show you what Tony was talking about. Too close, a little too close. Oh man, where are my tweezers? They are over by my 3D printer. By the way, my microphone is a ridiculously long cable and a lapel. That's my microphone. Check the live stream really quick, see if anybody else is showing up. Yeah, a couple people, 6 people watching. Hey, that's nice. Okay, so here is what Tony was talking about in that email. I'm gonna bring one of these little ICs in here, and I'm gonna crank the brightness on another light because I would like to get just a little bit more light in there. Everybody's gonna be like, worst live stream ever. This guy has no idea what he's doing. You are correct. Okay, so here's what's going on. The IC, you basically figure out where pin 1 is by that little dot. See that little dot right there? That tells you where pin 1 is. Now, if you look at the silk screen, yeah, Chris says, yay, lighting. Hey, Chris. I knew you would come. I knew you would be here. So notice that there's a little dot right here. And let's get pretty dang heckin' close on that actually. Let's bring the microscope in because I really want to drive this one home because I don't know, I think it's kind of important. So excuse me while I figure out, maybe I'll switch to something more interesting so you guys can actually see what I'm doing. Yeah, live streaming is kind of a different animal. Okay, so now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna get that microscope. Oh yeah, I'm gonna get it nice and focused in here. Let's crank the brightness up on the LEDs a little bit, not too much. And okay, and then I have to not touch it because this like oscillates for a long time. It sits there and wiggles around for a long time. Okay, so back to microscope. So here is the little dot on the corner of the IC. See that little dot right there? And then you can see this little dot on the corner of the silk screen. So that's the orientation. If we're gonna say, how does this IC get lined up? Just gonna put it right there temporarily. That's the, it's obviously not aligned at all, but that is the, that's how that IC is gonna go on there. So then, if we go look at a different part of the, if we go look at the other side of the board here, notice that that dot changes. It's actually up here in this corner. So these two, the dots down here, so that's where pin 1 is, dots up here, dots up here. So we just need to be really cognizant of that. Some additional things that I'm seeing on this board is that some of the assembly has actually already been done, which is really, really handy because let's take a look at these little guys. These are all resistors, teeny tiny little packages here, itty bitty. Now just for fun, let's bring my soldering iron tip in there. Now there's a big glob of solder on the end of it right now because I always tin the end of the soldering iron. See how there's a glob of solder there? I tin the end of the iron so it doesn't oxidize when it sits there. So I turn the iron off and then I just glob a bunch of solder on there. That way the tip stays, you know, doesn't just waste away sitting in atmosphere. So yeah, look at how massive my iron is in comparison to those little packages. Those are teeny tiny. So the hard work has been done for me here. All of these little packages. Oh, there's a fuse right there. What else do we have? D5. I don't know what D5 is. There's even a couple of LEDs right there. A couple LEDs. It's actually amazing how easy these little these are tiny. Like these LEDs, like I would really struggle, but I could, even though I'm a total novice, I could hand solder those. But these little guys, no heckin' way. It's just not going to happen. Not in a million years. By the way, this is not going to be a soldering tutorial. This is going to be you hanging out with Joel and potentially, I don't know, learning how to maybe not do something along those lines. So yes, I know I taught a soldering class at the Wireless LAN Pros conference, but I basically told everybody, like, don't expect anything. So let's see. Lando Griffin says that D5 is the diode. Nice. Nice, very good. Okay. Uno momento, por favor. I need to handle something on my computer really quick here. This will just take me a second. Give me like 60 seconds here to knock something out. And then we'll kind of get back to the things. I wonder if I can put things in the chat. My assumption is that I probably can. Because one thing I would like to do for anyone that is joining that is not familiar with this project, I kind of want to link you to a post in the 68K MLA forums. That's 68K MLA is like a Macintosh forum. And this is kind of so this is kind of where this project, it didn't start here, but it's had a lot of activity here. So there, I just stuck that in the chat. And HiMac is actually the person that did the layout of this board. So props. This is great. So anyway, really nice to have the expert on hand here to maybe walk me through this stuff a little bit. Next thing that, Colin says from the studio page, you should be able to. Yep, totally can, Colin. Hey, Colin, what's happening, dude? Colin's my friend. Well, you know, everybody's my friend, but Colin's also my friend. Okay, so next thing I need to do is, hey, Lando Griffin, were there instructions for this somewhere, like on the GitHub? I probably need to go find those. Or maybe they're on, I also should put a link to where you could purchase this so that somebody could go purchase it if they wanted to. I'm looking for the Tindy link right now. So Lando Griffin put together these kits on Tindy. The pricing is just like super duper mega reasonable. Like, let me go look at the price really quick. Remember what the face value price was for this thing. So I just stuck the link in the chat. You can go there. Okay, $40, unassembled. Oh, it's only $15 to assemble it. That is really cheap. No. Hang on. I'm wrong. Daisy chain daughter board, unassembled was add $5. So $45 gets you this little board. We should talk about what this does really quick, just in case for people that don't know. And then I'm going to try to get to assembling this as quickly as possible because maybe some people are joining and being like, I thought you said there was going to be soldering. So this, what this board does is it is a SCSI device that you connect to a classic Macintosh. So for example, you see my Classic 2 up there that's doing a screensaver right now. Then this can function as you basically plug a Raspberry Pi into this. There's basically a spot where the GPIO is plugged from the Raspberry Pi plugged right into this board. Then you get a SCSI storage device. Now, why would we need a SCSI storage device on a Macintosh? They all came with SCSI hard drives, and they're dying at like a ridiculous rate. They're just all dying. In fact, I have a pile of dead SCSI drives in my closet. That I have one drive that works. Anybody remember the earthquake in the Pacific Northwest a couple months ago? We had a little earthquake here in Boise, which is weird. It actually knocked out one of my SCSI drives. I had a SCSI drive running in one of my Macs, and earthquake came, and I guess the vibration got to the drive, or maybe the timing was just bad. I'm not sure. But this basically turns the Raspberry Pi into a SCSI hard drive, CD-ROM drive, zip drive, all kinds of stuff. The really exciting thing is that this will maybe potentially also give us Ethernet. It's in the works. I believe that Lando Griffin is working on that, if I remember correctly. And there are some technical challenges to overcome. But Ethernet boards for a lot of these Macs are really, really expensive. I got lucky, and a friend of mine actually found and bought me one for my SE30, which is extremely generous. Some of you know who Sam is. Sam bought that for me. I don't even want to know how much you paid for it. They're very rare. This board might give you storage and Ethernet, two incredibly difficult things to get right off the bat. So Chris asks, are you using Minicam for the video input from iPhone? No, Chris. I am using Telecast webcam. It's like $16 a year, so you don't just buy it once. It's kind of annoying. But look at the quality. Here, let me switch to a full thing for you. Yeah, I know I said we were going to get to work quickly. This is coming from my iPhone, and I just think it's gorgeous. I'm really, really happy with the results. So that's what I'm using for the top-down camera, just because it's, it's light, easy. So, okay, cool. I am going to go find the instructions. I swear I was going to get this done ahead of time, and I just didn't do it. Let's see. Discord link, important notes, forums, RasSCSI wiki. Usage instructions. Okay, I'm going to paste a link to this in the chat just in case anyone wants to see it. By the way, if anyone's getting bored and you want me to get on with it, tell me. Although I'm working on that actively right now. Assembling your own. For those of you that have purchased, you can check the assembly page. Very good. Let's see. Man, I should have set it up so you could see my screen. I didn't think to do that. I probably can, but I didn't think to do that ahead of time. So next one, I will have my screen sharing available. And so basically I'm looking at a list of components right now. I'm going to paste a link to that in the chat as well. So if you want to follow along, you can. Micro USB connector, optional components, standoffs, orientation options. Okay, RasSCSI has been designed to work with multiple Raspberry Pi modules. You have two options to attach the RasSCSI P-hat to the Raspberry Pi. Okay. Ooh, okay, so you could do a Raspberry Pi 0 on the top, or you could do a Raspberry Pi 0 to 0, 0, 2, or 3 or 4 on the bottom. Oh, man. I don't know how I want to do that, actually, because I kind of did think that a Raspberry Pi 0 was probably going to be... You know what? I have machines with Ethernet already, and I think that eventually bridging like a virtual Ethernet adapter on the RasSCSI to the Wi-Fi adapter on the Raspberry Pi, that seems like a likely possibility to me. Lando Griffin, the people actually developing this, are probably saying no, because it's always like, oh, that sounds easy from a development standpoint. I'm going to go for the Raspberry Pi 0 layout. I think that is probably what I want to do. So interesting. Worst case scenario, I guess I just have to flip over the 40-pin header on this board to put it underneath for the Raspberry Pi. Okay, get familiar with the circuit board, assembly instructions, to attach the smallest component first and finish up with the largest components. Absolutely. So then transceivers first. Okay, so we're going to go straight into the hard stuff here. We're going to go right into the transceivers. So not sure how I feel about starting with that, but we need to do that first, I think. Because remember, let's just really quick, just for kicks and giggles, let's line up our components really quick. I like to do this anyway. So we have our little switch. What's the technical name of that? That is surface mount switch. Okay. Yeah, simple. So we have our surface mount switch. We've got our micro USB. We have several of these transceiver chips. Yeah, let's start with those. So first thing that I am going to do is I am going to power on, you can see OBS happening over there. I'm going to power on my soldering iron. And you know, one thing I've never determined is like, what is an appropriate temperature for a soldering iron? Now I have a Hako 888D. I love this iron. I know it's not necessarily the favorite iron right now, but I really like it. I've really enjoyed this iron. We got this iron for all the attendees at the Wireless LAN Pros conference. Oh, Lando Griffin says that, should I say HiMac R? I should probably say HiMac R because that's what your screen name is here. Is in the works on the Ethernet support. It's so exciting. Can't wait. But I'm excited even that the functionality it has today is just amazing. Okay, so Hako 888D, I know it's not the absolute favorite. My one complaint about this iron is I can't recommend it worldwide because it only supports 110 volts. It does not support 220, which was a huge pain when we tried to teach the Wireless LAN Pros conference soldering deep dive in Prague. We could not use this iron. I had to find another iron. There's a guy named Voltar who is a video game console modder, and he recommends a $50 Chinese iron, and we got that one, and it's pretty good. One of them was dead on arrival. So this one, like, always works. It heats up incredibly quickly. So I'm running it at 650 degrees right now. If you do decide to get this iron, the number one thing that you need to know about it, the number one most important thing to know about this iron is that if you want to change the temperature and you push the wrong buttons, you will mess up the calibration on this. Look at the PDF on how to change the temperature. I look at that PDF whenever I want to change the temperature on this to avoid messing up the calibration. So that's that and the 120 volt AC thing are the two things about this that kind of drive me crazy. The other thing I love though is that it comes, well, this is starting to sound like an infomercial. I love that it comes with this little holder for the iron. I really, really like that. Tweezers. You have to have a pair of tweezers. Look on my website if you want to know, like, get a list of all these tools. I can post a link a little bit later maybe, but these little tweezers are absolutely essential. Need some solder. We are going to need some flux. Now, one thing I do not have any liquid flux other than this little Rework flux pen. So I'm going to use this. Not a big fan. I mean, it's fine. I think I'd love to have just a little bottle of liquid flux. And then I have paste. This stuff I use for like cutting through tons and tons of gunk. Like, let's say that I am soldering, let's get you really close. I want to show you this stuff up close. Let's say that I am soldering new capacitors on a badly corroded like logic board or motherboard. This is the stuff that I use. I'm not going to really dig around in there, but it's kind of the consistency. It's like a paste-like consistency. This stuff, for some reason, just burns through crap really, really well. So Jeff has the 888D and loves it. Oh, you have a 951. Awesome. Very cool. The 951 is, that's like a way nicer iron than the 888D, I think. I don't really know. I don't really understand the upper tier ones as well, but I think that's a higher end model. 888D seems like a solid choice for a DIY kind of guy like me who dabbles in soldering and stuff. Okay, I'm going to put the flux paste away because I'm not going to use that. Oh, another thing that's important to have, a couple other things actually. I use these both all the time. So I use a solder sucker. A package of 3 of these was like $8 on Amazon, and then I also use desoldering braid. We will only use these tonight if I mess things up, which is totally likely, by the way. Highly, highly likely that I will mess some stuff up. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to attempt to show you how I solder these down, and the people that are watching that actually know what they're doing are going to, I don't know what they're going to think. I have no idea what they're going to think. So very first thing that I always do is clean the iron. So actually, I'll show you really quick. Let's go really close again. So I have heated up oh, that's microscope. That's not what we want. We want that one, sorry. So notice that glob on the end of the iron, that is liquid, or that's molten right now. I always tin the end of my iron, and I've had this iron for several years now, and I've not had to replace the tip at all. I don't want to touch that. It'll hurt. If you, I always say in classes, like if you touch the end of the iron, you'll untouch it very quickly. You will let go very, very fast. So first thing that we need to do is we need to clean this thing up. So here is how I do it. I bring it over to my station and we go jab, 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 jab. Inside, you probably can't see super well, but you see that there's kind of like, it's like, it almost looks like brass shavings or something in there. I can't remember on camera what that stuff's called. But notice if I do that, kind of get everything off there, and then we come back, notice that all that junk is now no longer on the tip. It's actually pretty clean right now. But then the next thing that I always do is I always then bring it back over here, and then we clean it on this wet sponge. Scrub it, scrub it, scrub it. If solder isn't flowing, your iron's not clean. That's like the #1 thing. This thing does scooch around a little bit. That is a bit annoying. I wish it didn't scooch around very much, but okay, so now we come back to close now and see how shiny it is. On that side, not so much, but we have a shiny side to work with there, so I'm just going to leave it. We're going to be okay with that. So now that we've got that clean, let's get back to our board. And what I'm going to do, I almost need somebody here. Colin, I wish you were here to run the cameras for me, dude. Colin has been my cameraman in this room a couple of times, actually. Colin, you're probably like the video dude that I know. Okay, so what I always do is I keep my solder in one hand and my iron in the other hand, and that way you can do stuff. I am left-handed, so this is my dominant hand. And so then let's bring you back close. So we're going to be close. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to heat up this pad that's next to that dot. I'm going to heat it up for a second and then touch some solder, and we're just going to tin that pad a little bit. We just put a teeny tiny bit of solder on that pad. So let's bring it down to the microscope really quick. So I'm going to get it over there first before I switch it so you don't have to endure the pain. There we go. Okay. So notice we have tinned. Yeah, Colin says he would not hate coming down and being my cameraman. Colin, I would not hate you coming down to be my cameraman, but you're like 16 hours away, so sad. Hey, there's 11 people watching, and 2 people have liked it. Very cool. Is this the part where I'm supposed to say, hit like and hit the subscribe and hit the bell button to be alerted whenever I post new stuff to YouTube? Okay, so we have just got this one pad tinned. None of the other ones are tinned. So here's what I do to line up these surface mount parts like this. Is next I will come in, I need something I can use to pretend is my soldering iron, because now my soldering iron is hot. I have no idea if I'm providing good entertainment or not, or if this is just agonizing to watch. Okay, pretend that this is my soldering iron. Here's what I do. I heat up that pad, and then I grab that part with the tweezers. Really, I grab the part with the tweezers first, then heat up the pad, and then I slide my IC into place, and I get it just where I want it, and then I remove the heat, and I wait for that to cool, and now I can let go of it with the tweezers. This part's a little wide for my tweezers, but we'll make it work. That's how I line this up on the first try. So let's back up the microscope just a little bit. Just a bit here. I'm going to take the microscope away from you for a minute so you don't have to endure the pain of me getting it focused and all that. We're going to come back a bit more. So the this microscope, the way that it works is you have to get the distance. See, Jeff, loving it. I just wing stuff, and it's great to see how someone else approaches this work. Thanks for doing this. Yeah, Jeff, thanks for hanging out. Chris says I need to invest in a Stream Deck. Chris, I could probably expense that to work because I do tons of instruction stuff for work all the time. So yeah, I need to do that. Hey, hi Max says, yeah, having a good time. Doing great. Thank you. Awesome. Okay, sweet. So let me get this microscope dialed in really quick. Oh, this is the cheapest microscope of all time. It is so cheap. I apologize for my cheap microscope. Okay, I'm just gonna wait for the oscillations to die down in this little arm here. It's so funny how long it continues to do that. There we go. So there is our part. Okay, so what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna attempt to grab this IC with my tweezers. This is wide. This thing's wide. I just wanna kinda, there we go. Okay, cool. Now I'm gonna take my iron, and remember, it's dirty, so what you can't see right now, and what Colin would be doing for me is switching to a different camera. Colin, it could be like a cooking show, except for, you know, electronics. So now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna bring my, oh, I didn't flux anything. I think we're okay. I'll add some flux after we tack this down. Okay, so I'm gonna heat that pad up, and then we're, oh, now it caught the board, and it wanted to slide the board around. That's not what we want. We want the IC to slide. Okay. Okay, something went wrong. I know exactly what went wrong. The tweezers, see how it's stuck? I'm not actually holding it. The tweezers have just, I don't know. The tweezers, when they clamp onto it, the IC was not actually laying flat. So excuse me for a moment while I just mess around with this IC. Oh man, that is a pain. What if I just bend my tweezers out a little bit wider? Dumb. I got it figured out because I have to do this 4 times. Okay. You know, the other thing I wish I would have done is to tape this board down so that it wouldn't move around on me. Okay, so I'm just gonna heat up that leg. Okay, so now I'm gonna fix that joint. I don't like that at all, but what I'm looking at is I wanna understand whether it's straight on there or not. Notice how this pin back here, it's a little more to this side. And so I'm actually going to, I'm gonna move that a bit. Oh, I bumped that microscope and it just took you guys for a ride. Sorry about that. Okay. Crulio says, take off your shirt, that helps with soldering. Nope, not happening. Not on the internet. Although right now I could and you wouldn't know. Okay, so now I'm heating up that joint again. And now notice that I can actually slide that IC around. I have to grab it though. Yeah, I really need to grab the IC. Okay. We can put it anywhere, once we heat it up, we can put that IC anywhere we want. And then remove heat. And then let's see how we did that time. Wouldn't be surprised if the first one is a bit rough. Now we're too far that way. I'm gonna get some tape actually. Let's bring back the camera for, I'm gonna grab some tape. You guys can watch Super Mario for a minute. I think I have some up here. Tape. Okay, if I was yesterday, Joel, where would I have put the tape? Here it is. Okay, I'm gonna tape this board down. This is some double-sided sticky tape. I don't need it to be like hardcore tape down. By the way, one thing I could be doing is I could be using this. This is a board vise basically. You throw a vise in, or you throw the board in there, and it's really nice, especially if you're doing surface mount stuff, because you can flip the board over all the time and it holds it still. Maybe you could use that for this SMD stuff, but you know what? I have found that just throwing a piece of tape on there and just to tack it down a little bit, man, that just does the trick. That just works really nice for me. So, you know, just do what works for you. Okay, now that board's not gonna move around. That should make things significantly easier. It's gotta mess with the work height. Yeah, Chris, yeah, it does. It brings it up higher a bit. Like I said, it's great for through-hole stuff, but for surface mount like this, yeah, this is the way that I want. Matt says Super Mario, best Mario. I agree. I think that Super Mario World and Super Mario Brothers 3 on the NES might be tied for best video games ever played. Thank all of you so much for coming to hang out. Really appreciate it. Iron's been sitting over there for a while, so I'm actually just going to throw a little bit of solder on there and then clean it back off. Kind of has a nice cleaning effect when you do that. Sometimes I'll go crazy and just like tons of solder everywhere. But not right now. Okay, so now we're going to go back to the microscope here. Another vote for 3, mind-blowing on 8-bit. Yeah, it's pretty great. Hey, Glenn is here. Hey, Glenn. Yes, you are more than welcome to split your attention between college football and what I'm doing. I don't understand sports ball personally, but I am really glad that you enjoy it. That's just great. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm actually looking slightly at my OBS screen here. Oh, come on. Okay, we're going to add a bit more solder there. I'm having a hard time getting it to move, and so counterintuitive, but I'm actually going to add a bit more to help it flow. And now it's getting down to the point where like, yeah, Joel, you need to stick this IC down and you need to leave it. Okay, how are we doing there? I am happy with that. I'm going to leave that there. Yeah, they're all on the pads. It's a little teeny tiny bit crooked, but other than anyone that opens this video, no one's going to see it. So, okay, next thing I'm going to do, and I don't know if this is best practice or not, but I'm going to take my flux pen. Let me show you a little bit closer what this thing is. So this has got liquid in it. If you shake it, it goes glug, 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 glug. And so if we pop the end off, you get, I don't know if it's made of fiberglass or what this is, but you can actually use that to kind of brush against, you can kind of like scrub things with it a little bit. But if you push it against the board and push down, it actually leaves a little bit of flux on the board. Again, I'd like to get a bottle of the actual stuff. Ooh, flux everywhere, all over the place. One little dab is all it took. Okay, so now we're gonna get our iron. Oh man, the people that know what they're doing are probably cringing right now watching me do this stuff. So one thing that I have got to do is I need to do this corner, and there are some teeny tiny, see these little guys right there? I'm not gonna move the microscope. There are, but right there at the tip of my solder, there are little surface mount resistors right there. I need to not mess with those. Okay, how do we do, Joel? Do we do okay? A little heavy. Yeah, but note now, this thing is stuck down. It's not going anywhere. I'm pushing on it pretty good. It's not moving anymore. Okay, so now we are just going to go through and just solder all these down. There might be a better way to do this. There probably is a better way to do this. I am not super duper aware of what that is. So apply heat, apply solder, remove. And it's just a teeny little bit. I didn't even add any that time because there was a little blob on the end of my iron. Okay, Joel, how do we do? Let's bring in, let's get a little bit closer to that, and let's really take a look at those pins and see exactly how I did. So I'm going to focus in on things really, really close here. Jeff, Lando Griffin, Glenn, let me know how you think I'm doing here. Okay, so let's talk about what I did here. Big blob of solder, too much. This little guy right here, boom, perfect. That one I'm worried I didn't have the heat on it long enough because it doesn't look very shiny. Could just be the lighting. Here, let me get, let's get a little bit better. Speaking of lighting, I'm going to boost the light on the microscope a little bit. Okay, let it settle down. Bring it back. Oof. Yeah, see the vibration there? Okay. Yeah, this one, not quite enough solder. This one, a little bit too much. Honestly, the too much doesn't bother me a whole lot. I'm okay with that. Oh, man. So if somebody that was experienced is watching, like, for example, one modder that I highly recommend is a guy named Voltar. He is he's a console modder. I mentioned him earlier, but I just want to be sure everybody understands what I'm talking about. He is a console modder. I guess he's an electrical engineer that kind of did an early semi-retirement sort of thing. And he has posted some really nice soldering tutorials. And he calls it soldering, which I think is fun. Yeah, that one right there. So I'm darting back and forth between looking at the broadcast view on OBS. I'm happy with those. We're going to stop while we're ahead with those. Anyway, go watch his stuff if you want to see a pro do it. Because he's got it down. He's done it for years. Definitely the most expert in the retro video gaming community that I am aware of. Heat. Solder. Oh, yeah. And you'd probably notice that I'm actually putting solder like on top of my iron, and it just kind of flows underneath. The solder basically, more or less, goes to where the heat is. Now notice that I got a big blob of solder on the top of the iron. I'm actually just going to rotate the iron and just put it down and touch that connection, and look what it did. Now if I wanted to get really brave, I could just brush my iron. I could just rake it across those and go rup, rup. Glenn, I just remembered that you were in my soldering class. That was fun. We didn't do much SMD stuff. Somebody chatted me. I haven't looked at it yet. Whoops. Okay. A little too much solder there. We can fix that. Ugh, that horrible vibration thing. So here's what I'm going to do to try to fix that. I'm going to try to bring this solder over to another joint or two. I'm just going to kind of pull it like that. Just going to spread it out a little bit. Hey, look at that. An even bigger mess. So then I'm going to rake it up a little bit and down. And we're just going to try to... Yeah, nope, not happening. Okay, this is where our friend, the solder sucker, is going to come in handy. I am going to get rid of those bridges with the solder sucker. Now this thing is exceptionally cheap, and when you... So basically it's a vacuum. And so what you do is you press the plunger down, and then you push this button and it goes and vacuums. This thing is really cheap, and it dumps extra solder gunk out of it. Eric says he likes to drag across the pins. Yeah, Eric, I think that could get me out of this mess, but I'm gonna cheat and use the solder sucker. So notice how much crap has actually gone into my wastebasket. That's because this thing is cheap. I need to find a good one, and I just haven't. So I always run it over the, over the bin a few times, the trash can, to just to try to get that stuff in the trash can and not all over my workspace. Okay, let's move you guys. Let's do a macro view for this one. I am going to get you close, but not microscope close. So you can kind of see, whoops, I had it backwards. Okay, whatever. The video that I thought was showing you and the video that you saw were two very, very different things. So we're just going to heat this up. We have our solder sucker ready. I'm going to do it again. Just dumped junk all over my desk. Yeah, we're getting there. Yeah, I probably could just drag the iron across the pins to fix this. But then I wouldn't get to demonstrate the solder sucker. Okay, there we go. All cleaned up. I probably made a big mess here. Like right here. You can't see it, but there's like a ton of nasty solder junk there. Ugh, broke my own rule, and I didn't do it over the trash can. Okay, let's get you back on the microscope. Random YouTuber said, okay. Random YouTuber says, if you haven't seen Voltar, it has some great videos on. Yep, exactly the Voltar that I was referring to. Random YouTuber says, I'm also a fan of taping down the PCB with painter's tape. Yeah, I would have used painter's tape if I had any nearby. I just didn't. So I didn't use painter's tape. Okay, microscope time. Oof, sorry about the shake. Really, really sorry about that. Okay, so now what I'm gonna do, I'm actually not gonna add any solder. These have enough. I just wanna clean these up really quick, since I just did the solder sucking thing here. Yeah, I think that looks pretty good. Okay, I would normally wait until the end to do this, but now we're gonna take some isopropyl alcohol, and we're gonna take some Q-tips, and we're gonna clean that up really quick. I lucked out with the isopropyl alcohol because in about February, I was like, I'm tired of buying alcohol. I'm gonna buy a ton. I'm gonna buy gobs of alcohol, and so that I don't have to buy it anymore. Then coronavirus happened, and oh man, was I glad. Boy, those little these little surface mount guys, I just want to be really gentle around those. So we're just going to give it a little swab with the alcohol really quick. Like I said, I would normally wait until kind of towards the end to do that, but I just want to show you kind of the, I don't know, kind of the finished result on that first IC. Let's get this thing. Okay. Random YouTuber says I'm doing a great job. Thank you, random YouTuber. I really appreciate it. Lando Griffin has mentioned you in a topic. I think there's been some activity over on the 68K MLA forums. Cool. Yeah, those three in the center, I'm not going to go back and mess with those. They're probably fine. But, you know, that could be where there could potentially be a problem. See how those cleaned up nicely when I just raked the iron? I mean, yeah, there are still some little jaggies and stuff here, like right there. I'm not going to worry about it. I'm going to call that purely cosmetic. But, you know, you could reheat that joint to smooth those out. I'm not going to worry about it, though, because ain't nobody got time for that. Okay, on to the next one. Let's redo our microscope. I'm going to bring it. We're going to give you a little bit more of a bird's eye view this time. Just a little bit more. Okay, so, you know, I kind of want to talk a little bit about why I'm doing a live stream. I have been very interested in making YouTube videos for a long time, but what I have found in a couple of half-hearted attempts to produce material is that it's a lot of work. You know, the guys that do that full-time, like LGR, you know, Voltar, he's not a full-time YouTuber, but, you know, he's got a YouTube channel and his full-time job is doing work like this. I mean, the amount of work that they put into their craft is commendable. I mean, they just do it is a ton of work what they do. To me, live streaming, oh, the other end is open. I was trying to get it out. No, maybe not. The amount of work that goes into making a produced YouTube video is pretty intense. Although a live stream is you kind of just hit the record button and you kind of have to roll with it. Same with in my day job. It's easier to just like do a webinar and record it than it is to actually record and make content. And so this is cheating a little bit for me because it allows me to make some content without all the prep work and all that. I mean, it's a little bit of prep work. I probably put 2 or 3 hours of prep work into this today. But what I like the most about it is that it's going to motivate me to get some projects done. I have quite a few things that I want to do. Like I want to do a backlit Game Boy Color display. I got a Midwestern Electronics backlit display kit for my Game Boy Color from This Does Not Compute. I helped him out a little bit on a project, did a little bit of 3D printing kind of thing for him, and he sent that to me as a thank you, which is pretty cool. It's fun to help him out on that. So anyway, I have a bunch of little projects like that I want to work on. So, okay, on to the next one. The dot is right there, so that's where we're going to start. Actually, yeah, you know, I'm going to start over here because there's nothing over here. So you see that? We just tinned up that pad. Then we bring in our IC really quick. Bring in the IC like that. And then I'm going to grab the IC with the tweezers. Clean, clean. Okay. Gosh, these are just a pain to grab. I'm going to set it on top of that pad this time. And I'm just going to rest the iron on the top. And it kind of, the IC kind of settled down into shape, although I don't think I had any, I should have tinned my iron a little bit more. So let's tin the iron just a bit more. And then I'm just going to press down on the top of the IC. Yeah, that's okay. It's not super duper straight. Like you can see, it's not perfectly aligned with the neighbor, but it's good enough. I'm going to leave it. We're just going to do it. So, or are we? Let me think about this for a second. You know what I am going to do actually? Okay, so what I've done is I've just bumped it a little bit. I can actually get it to move around slightly. There's a bit of a spring. It's kind of, you know, there's a bit of a spring force here where you can nudge it around and it will twist this leg a little bit. Probably don't want to do too much of that. But in my case, I think I was able to get away with it. Okay, time for some flex. Bloop, bloop. Yeah, there. See, I just said, don't stress it. Don't stress the legs, and I just did it again. Glenn, Joel has a day job? Really? Yeah, Glenn. I do. You know that. Oh, I moved it. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a bit of solder on the iron. Oh, all right. I want to show you what I've done. That was dumb. My solder to the leg because I removed the solder and the iron in the wrong order. Dumb. Fortunately, pretty easy to fix. All I have to do is just come in here and just heat it up and pull the solder away. No big deal. But a little bit dumb. Just a little bit dumb. And now I have a little bit too much solder on that leg. So let's just clean it up a little bit. Yeah, that looks good. Okay, let's do the other ones. Definitely didn't flow. So this is a lot less worrisome because there's not a whole bunch of little teeny tiny resistors next door for me to worry about. I'm going to heat that one up just a little bit more. Yeah, see how it flowed down to the pad? I like that. That's what I like to see. Ah, I did it again. So I would like to hear in the chat, I know there's a couple of you that are on the Macintosh forum. I would like to hear a little bit about what you are going to do, what you plan to do with this board. Me personally, I'm not really sure yet, actually. I've got a SCSI to SD in almost all of my Macs. The Classic 2 that you saw on the shelf behind me, that one has, I'm going to do a bit more flex here. That one has a SCSI to SD. My SE30 has a SCSI to SD. I have Ethernet for the SE30. My SE Super Drive also has Ethernet and a SCSI to SD, so it's all set. You know what? I think the Classic 2 might end up getting it because the Classic 2 does not have a PDS slot for an Ethernet card. Yeah, I bridged that one, didn't I? Okay, let's try to pull some of that away. So what I'm going to do is just kind of get it to follow me, see if it'll follow me out of there. You follow me out? Nope, not going to work. Okay, you know, I'll solder the rest of them, and then we'll come back to that one instead of getting distracted and stopping to fix that bridge. Eric likes to do drag. I think Eric does drag soldering, which is where you basically just get a big blob of solder and you just kind of rake it back and forth until eventually all of the solder sticks to the pins and the pads and no bridges are remaining. And for teeny tiny stuff, yeah, like flex cables and stuff, that is exactly what I would do. This, though, I think I kind of like to go pin by pin. So, yeah, it's going to look hand soldered. Okay, this time around, let's use a little bit of desoldering wick so you can see what that looks like. Hey, one thing I'm curious about, how is the performance of the stream? My upstream, my intertubes connection here is a really terrible DSL line. I have about 1.7 megabits per second up is all I get. I would be curious to know what the performance of that is like. Okay, so what we've got here is I have desoldering braid. This is the other way of desoldering things. So basically what you do is you put it on top of the thing that you want to desolder, and then you rest the iron on top of the desoldering braid, and that causes the solder to turn into molten and suck up into the desoldering braid. So let me show you what I mean here. I'm going to be very quick with this, but we're going to put it on that part. We're going to just rest it on the top. Probably not the best thing to use next to an IC like this because it gets it hot. But you see that? See how the solder just went slurp right up there? I probably don't need any more. I can probably get those to maybe. Nope. Where'd all that extra solder come from? Out of nowhere. I think you risk overheating the part doing this, though. So, you know, like I said, probably not the preferred way to do this. Here we go. Okay, bridge is gone. I'm okay with that. You guys okay with that? Glenn says, solid copy here in the Sunshine State. Wait, it's dark outside. Eric says that this board is going to be a lot more versatile than the SCSI SD. Can script and change configs anytime. Yeah, Eric, I agree. I think that this is going to be a lot more versatile in the end. My tape has expired. It is very, very messy, so I'm actually going to peel it up and apply new. This is just like Scotch double-sided sticky tape. I wish I had some painter's tape up here. I just don't. I sit in the garage, and I don't want to go down and get any and leave you all hanging up here. Hey, this is fun. Thank you for hanging out with me on a Saturday night to do my little project. Really, really happy that you decided to join me for this. Okay, let's go back down to the microscope. So now remember that pin 1 needs to be where this dot is. So it could be an easy mistake to make because the other two on this, it was down here, but now we need to switch it up here. I think we're beating a dead horse at this point, but okay. Oh, what am I doing? We need to tin that pad first. That's the first thing we need to do. Step 1. Okay, bring in some heat, bring in some solder, bloop. See, surface mount soldering is actually pretty easy. In fact, in some ways, I think it's easier than through-hole soldering. I know that's not super popular. Oh, my wife brought me painter's tape. Thank you. I think they're watching the stream. Okay, I'm trying to find the microscope. So my kids are actually pretty interested in electronics, soldering. I have 3 daughters. The youngest is 6 and the oldest is 9. And the 2 older ones, my 9-year-old and my 7-year-old, and my wife all actually soldered something a few months ago. So I had these little lighthouse kits from a class that I taught at the Wireless LAN Pros conference. And it's like a little lighthouse like through hole kit that you solder together, and then it just has an LED that blinks, all with passives, 100% with passive components to do that. And so I had a few of these extra kits, and I brought them home, and my daughters were like, "Dad, can you teach us how to solder?" And my wife is like, I want to learn how to solder too. And they freaking nailed it, like absolute pros. Like amazing solder joints. I was shocked. It's just, well, I don't know. I'm just amazed at how quickly they picked it up and how good of a job they did. So anyway, I thought that was pretty cool. We have some surface mount stuff that we haven't dug out quite yet. Oops, try to get that IC. I know I'm probably not supposed to touch the IC with my bare hands. Deal with it. Okay, I'm happy with that. You see how it just dropped down onto that solder pad? So, you know, usually I'll slide it into place, but sometimes I'll just do that. Mostly just because these things are wide. They're just big, wide ICs. So one thing I will do when I'm done is I will scrub this whole thing down with IPA, isopropyl alcohol, and a toothbrush to get all of this flux off of the board. Got real quiet, I know. Love it. Happy with that. Let's do the top. So there's a YouTube channel called Bad Lip Reading. And they mostly like, you know, they watch public events, politics, things like that. And then they do parodies of what the people were actually saying by, you know, performing bad lip reading. And they just did the stupidest, dumbest song of a political figure, and it's stuck in my head. It is just stuck, and ugh. Darn it, bridge one. That's what I get for talking about politics, huh? Okay, that's okay. We can fix it. So, I'm going to bring in... No, we're not going to use that again. I think that the solder sucker made more. I think it made a lot more. Makes a lot more sense. Hey, if the stream dropped out for a second, you know why it did that? Because I clicked the stop stream button. That's why. So we'll see how much of a drop there is. Hopefully it keeps working. Eric says minor lags once in a while, but good overall. Okay, cool. I've only dropped a few hundred frames this entire time, so I feel pretty good about that. Okay, back down to the microscope. It's not my laptop. My MacBook Pro is only sitting at 10% CPU utilization right now. It's not my, you know, like I'm not using Wi-Fi, which considering who I am and what my job is kind of funny. I am using Ethernet. Okay, things still working okay? Yeah, seems to be working okay. All right, so I cleared that little bridge right there. I'm gonna rake the iron over that one more time. I'm looking forward to these ICs being done so we can move on to something else. You know, we've just been hanging out on these for a while now. I'm gonna add a little bit more solder to that last one. I feel like it needs just a skosh more. Yep, I like it. Okay, let's do the last one. Let's just knock this out. Let's get it done, and then we can move on to some of the others. By the way, I want to congratulate Lando Griffin on the silk screen on this board. I love it. I love that there is all these fun things on the board everywhere. Like, look, here's the fetch dog. So cool. I don't know. I love it. This board is just so fun. I know it's kind of lame to be like, silk screens are fun, but I'm sorry. That's what I like. I like that. I like creative stuff like that. Okay. Tinned. Grab the IC. And ooh, we need to make sure it's oriented correctly. Because orienting ICs wrong is bad, okay? Yeah, when you look at these from like a bird's eye view, I'll show you in a minute, but it looks very hand soldered. Like all the chips are kind of, nothing's lined up very well. Whatever. Like I said, no one's going to see it except for all the people on the internet that click on my video, which is so far 13 of you. Okay. Oh, it moved a bit right at the end, but we're committed. So you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to heat up that joint again, and I'm going to just kind of slide this IC up on your screen. Yeah. You know what's nice, though, is once you get the first one in, now you have the previous IC to kind of slide it against. You see how I did that? That's nice. Okay. I'm going to make sure, you know, let's do the opposite leg really quick, and then I'm going to make sure that that is actually flat on the board. Oh, let's do some flex. No, let's tack this one down, then we'll get flex. Okay. Now we take the tweezers and push down on that corner, flow that joint. It didn't do it that time because it didn't need to, but especially on like big ICs and stuff with lots of legs, you'll feel the IC settle down onto the board when you do that. I feel like my pen is running a little dry. Okay guys, home stretch. Home stretch on this IC, then we can move on to something else and hopefully towards completion. By the way, I'm not going to do any kind of power on attempt or any, probably be another time. Oh man, I can't quite see what's going on there. I have no idea if that was any good. Hey, looks okay. Okay. Downtime for the other side. See that fuse right there and that diode? Makes me just a skosh nervous. Notice I'm not even adding any solder. Now at that time I needed to. A little too much on that one. I like it. Whew. Okay. That's all those. Okay, let's decide what we're going to do next. Let's go. Hey, Jeff is an ex-Aruba SE. Apartment building. Nice, a little bit of Wi-Fi discussion. Perfect. I figured we might pull a few Wi-Fi people in here, like Glenn and Chris and a few people. I work in Wi-Fi, for those of you that don't know. I'm a sales engineer for a big networking company. Okay, let's go back to our instructions, and I'm going to paste these back in just in case you want to see what I'm referencing. Sorry I didn't get screen sharing set up ahead of time. Wish I would have done that. Did not. Okay, transceivers are done. Let's see. Flex all plaids, place component. Nice, really nice tutorial here in this guide on how to solder this stuff. Love it. Okay, clean the pads for S1, making sure there is no debris. Let's go find S1 really quick. All right, S1, where are you? Oh, right here. That's S1. It's the switch. Yeah, that's what it is. It's the switch. Okay, so let's come back over to our microscope. And let's find our switch. There it is, S1. I'm going to rotate it because it's just annoying me to have everything be upside down. Okay, there's our switch. And I think what I'm going to do is I am going to just tin one pad just like before. You know what I'd love to hear is a bit of feedback about what do you guys think of the stream? You guys like the format? You like the camera angles? Audio quality is okay? Is it fast-paced enough? Because like I said, I kind of want to do more of these. I could see myself getting into this. Okay, so there we go. We've tinned it. Question from Tom, just joined. Which camera are you using for the close-up of the board? Quality seems pretty good. So Tom, I am using a, it's either a Cables to Go or Cable Matters microscope, USB microscope. It's this little guy right here. I have it on a 3D printed mount and attached to a document camera. So actually this is 2 cameras on one arm. I have mixed feelings about this. But yeah, I mean, for like 20 bucks, it is doing the trick. The one thing I hate about it is there's no way to change the zoom level like on the camera itself. Basically, you have a focus control here, but to actually get how close you want to be, you actually have to physically move the camera up and down. So that's the one thing about it. But hey, $20. I mean, so cheap, so incredibly cheap. All right, coming back to the instructions. I don't know if the orientation of this switch matters. My guess is that it probably does not. But I am going to orient it the same way in the photo just to be sure. So it's going to be oriented like that. So since I'm left-handed, I want to actually melt the solder from this side. What I should have done is I should have tinned this pad right here so I wouldn't have to spin the board around. That was a little bit stupid. So let me fix this really quick. Okay, back to microscope. And this is a bit more of the size of component that I'm used to working with. So I imagine this will be a little bit easier. Okay, iron is clean. Slide it into place, put it where we want it, remove heat, remove tweezers. It's that easy. Oh, that's Voltar says that. I can't say that. That's his thing. And I'm not on the same plane of reality as he is. But really, it is that easy. It's just not that hard. A little bit of an awkward angle for me to solder, but I don't want to spin the whole thing around. You know, when it's just you working on stuff, you don't have to worry about the camera. That's one thing about doing any kind of camera stuff like this is that you have to worry about your audience a little bit. Okay, let's kind of square things up a bit. This is just bothering me how everything's out of whack. I do like keeping my solder off to the side like this, and when I pull on it, see how it just unspools? So I like that. I haven't used this silicone mat before. My wife bought me this for Christmas, and I've used it for, like, you know, fixing a few iPhone screens, things like that. I haven't used it as a soldering surface, though. That's kind of new. Okay, clean and prep the pads for USB connector. Okay, so let's get our connector. I'm actually going to square up the document camera just a little bit here. Yeah, okay. So, and there's also a focus button on the document camera. Yeah, much better. So here's our micro USB. By the way, these little micro USB connectors, they're not all the same. But I've at least once now, I've repaired consumer electronics that had a connector like this. Like one of my friends has a RetroTink, which is actually how I'm getting video from my Super Nintendo onto my LCD, and he broke off the connector on it on accident. So I fixed it using a very cheap little connector. So this actually has legs that go through. You can actually see the legs there, and it's actually going to, you know, let's just drop it in there. Yeah, see how it actually sits down in there? Okay, one thing I wish I would have done is I wish I would have done this first, because soldering in there with this IC in the way, that's going to be a bit of a pain, but I think it'll be okay. We will make it work. So I'm actually going to rotate the board so I can get to those with my hands. I want to stick this thing down. What can we do to stick it down? The tape is exactly where I can't. By the way, one thing I'm trying to do is I'm trying to give you something to look at all the time. Hopefully I'm being generally successful there. Chris, thought I saw a bridge on the 4th transceiver. Let's take a look at that, Chris. Let's just do it now before I forget. Just want to be sure. Okay, he said on pins 6 and 7. So you start counting, I think you start counting here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh yeah, you're right. There's a bridge there. Yep. Thank you, Chris. Much appreciated. So what I'm going to do is we're just going to get in there with the iron and still there. Did I even do the right one? It's that one. No more bridge. Okay, let's talk about bridges for a second. I think that'd be a good idea. So my second way that I will discover if I have a bridge or not is with a multimeter. This is also from the Wireless LAN Pros soldering class. We got everybody a multimeter. Oh geez, got tangled up in my microphone. Oh, it's bad. Sorry if there's a lot of noise. Yeah, lapel mic is like right here on my chest. Okay, so I'm going to put it in continuity mode. And what I will do with the multimeter is, let's get you guys a little bit closer here. So what I'll do with the multimeter is if I want to see if there are any pins that are bridged, is I'll just go through and go bridge, nope, bridge, nope. And sometimes I'll touch them together too to make sure it's still working. But yeah, you can do that. And so recently I replaced the sound chip on my SE30, and they're very small pins. It's one of the little, I don't know what the package is called, but it's a square. Oh, Hymax says there's a lot of ground pins there. So those 2 pins are both grounded, so they'll show connection. Yeah, okay, so we would have found some anyway. That's pretty funny. That's when having the schematic nearby would be useful. Okay, let's get back to that connector now. It's still there. It's still on the board. Okay. There it is. Yeah, could look at the schematics to see it. Cool. So what I'm going to do is pop that guy off of there for a second. Sorry if it's a little bright. I'm not going to mess with the brightness though because it's mostly working okay. And I'm going to just pick, I'm just going to do one pin. We're going to go pretty light on it. Oh, no, we're going to do 2 pins, apparently. Yeah, we're going to do 2, I guess. Hey, you know what? Let's do a bit of solder paste on this, because that's what the guide says to use. You know, why not? Why not use a little bit of our advanced quality with joint high intensity soldering paste? So I actually have 2 pairs of tweezers here. I'll use 1 pair to put on some of this paste. I don't have anything better to put it on there with. Usually I go get like a toothpick or something. But yeah, this will work. Hey, solder paste. Get on the board. I don't want to get my other tweezers covered in solder paste, so get on the board. Okay, fine. Just don't. See if I carry you dumb, stupid solder paste. What else do I have? Aha. I have one of the most pro soldering tools out there. A paper clip. Also known as a wireless router factory resetting tool. Okay. My desk is getting messier and messier as the evening goes on. So what we could do is I could actually start by soldering in the, let me get you guys close to the microscope. Sorry, I thought that's what we were looking at. I could get you, or I could actually, you know, throw some solder in these holes. Actually, we're going to do some through hole soldering here in a bit. I'm going to start with the pins though. My gut's telling me let's just start with pins and see how that goes. Colin says that a SIM card tool would work too. Yes, Colin, you are correct. Hey, I'm going to tape this board down though with the fantastic blue painter's tape that my wife brought up for me. She went all the way out to the garage and got this for me. I wonder if they're watching it. Oh, much better. Much better. So today I went to find my spare SE30 board, which those of you from the Macintosh forums, you know that a spare SE30 board is kind of a big deal. And just so you can kind of see the comparison, here's my non-spare SE30 board. It's got components loose on it right now, so I'm not going to dump it around. Not a small board. I cannot find my spare board anywhere. I have no idea what I did with it. I know I have it here somewhere. It's a battery bombed board, and I need to take some measurements off of it. Can't find it. So, fail of the day. So I really hope that I can find that. Tom, yes, I am using OBS. And I'm just running it on my MacBook Pro. Okay, so let's go back to the... Oof. Okay, I'm actually going to change my perspective a little bit on this, because I need to get the iron in there at an angle that my hands can actually work with. Yeah, that'll work. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to take my iron and I'm just going to put a teeny dab of solder on the end of it, and I'm going to just kind of go in at a crazy angle here. I don't want to go too much in there though. You know what? I kind of wish I'd tinned all the pads. That's what I wish I'd done. The way to find out, I think, would probably be to do some continuity testing with a multimeter. I'm not going to put all of you through that right now. But what I am going to do... So the problem is my document camera center's here, my microscope center's here. So I need to work that out. I think having them on the same, you know, kind of the same mechanical arm is probably not a fantastic idea. What do y'all think? You think I got it? I don't know. I don't know if I do. But to fix it, I'd simply add more solder. So I'm going to go ahead and flip this thing over. And let's do that through-hole stuff. And I'm actually going to insulate it a little bit with the tape. We're going to just stick it right on the tape. Because I want to, yeah, I don't think I can burn this, but I'd rather not if I can help it. Okay, so then I'll do one macro and then we'll do one micro so you can kind of see. So we're going to heat up both the joint and the hole, and we're just going to feed some solder in there. Look at that. Just kind of lazily rolled iron over. Oh, I was going to zoom in on that one. Sorry, I forgot. Let's find our... There it is. Yeah, okay, so see how at the document camera, this is the center, this is the very edge. And then when we transition, now we're, yeah, it's very far away. So I got to figure that out. Okay, so what we're going to do, oh, got to clean the iron up really quick. Yeah, you know, that's not very clean. Not very clean at all. Are you going to focus on that, or is that a no-go? Yeah, a little messy. So here's what I'll do. I'm going to take some solder here. We're just going to go crazy. This is where some eye protection would be a good idea because that can pop sometimes. Okay? So then now we'll take it back over. Jab, 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 jab. I'm going to hold it with one hand. Really scrape it around in there. Make sure that iron is nice and clean. And we're going to just go crazy. Yeah, that's better. So then now, yeah, that's a lot cleaner. Much better. Okay. Tin the iron. Let's get you closer. Bump. Oh yeah. Notice how much easier that flowed? Remember, if your solder isn't flowing, your iron isn't clean. I'm trying to get everything nice and warm. Want a good mechanical bond here because those little micro SD connectors, you know, we don't want that popping off of there. Had to happen. You know, I actually didn't feed quite enough solder in there. I'm looking at it from the top. Let's see if I can see it on the microscope. See that, how it's, you know, you can see there. Let's grab the tweezers and pull point. Not quite enough solder right there. So I'm gonna actually feed a little bit more in. It's funny when you're kind of entertaining a little crowd. You kind of, there's a little bit of pressure to keep things moving, which is funny. So I hope you're okay with me kind of taking it a little bit slower and kind of just working on it. And I hope that you're cool with just hanging out. Okay, get nice and hot. Want all that solder flowing around. Feed some more in there. The same thing over here. I would say a little bit too much solder is probably okay here because it's a mechanical thing. Looks like HeyMax says that on the USB connector, only power and ground on the outside pins are connected to anything. Cool. Hey, that makes it a lot easier for me. Way, way easier. Okay, how do we look? Yeah. Yeah, I like that a little bit better. I don't know how clear that is for you, but for me, I can see that it's a nice mechanical bond. So it's actually not hot. I was kind of curious about how hot the connector got. It really didn't get hot. So that's good. Okay, what's next? Let's see here. Connector's done. Okay, checking your work. Okay, now we move on to the easy stuff. So we need the 50-pin male box header and the DB25 connector. And be sure the key on the 50-pin connector faces the DB25. Oh, I'm sorry. I was showing you guys a boring close-up right now instead of Mario. Okay, so we're gonna grab those, solder them in from the bottom, easy peasy, awesome. Okay, this will be a piece of cake. Dinner's on. Jeff's got to go. Hey, Jeff, thanks for being here. Really appreciate it. Thanks for taking the time to hang out. Really appreciate that a lot. I don't know why you guys want to watch somebody solder things together, but I'm really glad that you wanted to. So, okay. By the way, one thing to note, there is a little bit of a delay. It's probably a minute and a half almost. So if it seems like it takes a while for me to answer your questions, I'm probably answering them a little bit quicker than it feels like. So we're going to take our 50-pin SCSI connector and we're going to plug it in there. And I'm actually just going to do one at a time here right now. And yeah, you know what? This is actually where I'm thinking about using the clamp. Yeah. You know what I'm going to do though is to kind of keep this flat. I'm going to prop up. Well, no, that didn't work. That was too wide. What do I have that's just wide enough? Too wide. A Q-tip. Here we go. Okay, so we're going to solder this thing in really quick. This through-hole stuff is super easy. Let's get you a little bit closer, actually, but not microscope closer. Just a little bit closer. Focus? Oh, yeah, it focused. Heck yes. So what I like to do is I'll pick a pin. Let's do one that you guys can actually see. I'm going to go to get on a corner somewhere. And we're going to heat it up for a minute. This is going to take a while to heat up because there's a lot more stuff going on. We'll add some solder. Then we'll let go. Okay, so now here is the problem. The problem is that connector is, okay, it's sitting, well, it's not super flat on this end. See how you can actually see a little bit of light through there? It's not sitting perfectly flat. So here's what I like to do. Let's back up a little bit. Let's focus again. Is I like to basically put pressure on the board. You can do it like that. You can just use your fingers to hold the board on there, but I'm just going to put a little bit of pressure on it, and then I'm going to come back. I'm just going to heat up that one pin. And what that's going to do is it's going to cause that component to sit nice and flat on the board. And so now, oops, dropped it. Yeah, now it's nice and flat. It's moving around a little bit because the other end isn't done. So let's do the opposite end now. Okay, so we've done this corner and we've done this corner, two opposite corners. And now I'm going to do that reflow thing one more time. So I'm putting a bit of pressure down on this board. Oops. Let it cool. And then let's take a look at our work. And let's just see how we did. I'm not happy with this end. See that? You can see through it. I don't like that. So let's come back and try that again. So I'm going to really put some pressure down on that. Like, not a ton of pressure. I just want to seat it. I think I'm just doing the wrong side. It's this side. When you flip it over, everything changes. Okay, it's this side. It's definitely this side. You know, it is pretty dang flat there. You have to really look at it. Like, you have to search pretty far and wide to see that. Okay, cool. I think I'm happy with that. So let's also tack down our DB25 now. This one is a lot easier. It's only one way that it goes. And it actually kind of has these little springs here. So it's very, very easy to align. I wonder if we can get the microscope in here too. Oh, we're very close. There we go. There's the edge of our... Let me focus really quick here. I just want to make sure for your optimal viewing experience. Okay. Random YouTuber says, if your solder isn't flowing, grab some flux to the tune of You're Not Happy and You Know It. If the solder isn't flowing, grab some flux. If the solder isn't... Yeah, okay, that works. That works. I'm not going to sing the whole song. I don't think anyone wants to hear that. Okay. Look at how shiny the iron is. Look at that. Oh, it's so nice. A little bit messy, but we'll leave it. It's fine. Oh, there's a beautiful sound outside right now. Rain. I live in Boise, Idaho. And this is the first rain that we've had basically all summer, which isn't like, you know, abnormal or anything. We live in the desert, so we don't get a lot of rain. But man, with all like the forest fires and stuff going on, you know, we've been impacted by that from a smoke perspective. Just hearing the rain, oh, it's soothing. It's so nice. Yeah, I like that. Okay, cool. So now what we're going to do is we're just going to go crazy soldering all this. This is fun because you get to just move really fast. So one of my favorite games on the Dreamcast was Crazy Taxi. Anybody ever play Crazy Taxi back in the day? Remember in the beginning? We're gonna make some crazy money. You ready? Here we go. Sorry, I don't know why that popped into my head. Now sometimes what I will run into, that was a lot of solder. Sometimes what I run into is when you're working next to a big ground plane. See this giant ground plane? Sometimes that eats up a lot of heat, and so you'll find that you have to apply quite a bit of heat there before the solder will start flowing. So watch out for that. And sometimes I've even cranked up the heat on my soldering iron crazy high. Oh, there's Crazy Taxi coming back. Just to try to get the heat to flow the solder quickly. Because all the heat just goes right into the ground plane. So one thing I'm a little surprised about with the streaming platform here is that I can't tell exactly who is on the stream. I can only tell who's here based on chats. Tom is, yeah, Crazy Taxi's awesome. Great soundtrack, Bad Religion, The Offspring. How could you go wrong? Indeed. How could you go wrong? That's like the reason I have a Dreamcast in my setup behind me. See how quick it goes when you're doing this kind of thing? I mean, it's kind of boring. In fact, I'll bet that a seasoned pro does this through-hole stuff even quicker than I do. Let's see, are we still in the microscope? Nope, sorry about that. I'm actually using my real eyeballs here instead of looking at the screen to solder. Although sometimes I do look at the screen. Hey, I think we're getting down to it here, everybody. Yeah, let's start at let me go to the one that you can see. and work my way backwards. Now I know exactly what is in your field of view. See how when you can set yourself up to do a ton of pins like this, how you don't have to stop and clean the iron all the time because you're kind of keeping the solder flowing. Oh, by the way, be sure to wash your hands when you're done. If your solder is any good, it has lead in it. And you don't want that stuff getting into your brain and making you angry in your old age. At least that's what I've been told. Okay. Oh, hey, I got a little possible bridge right here. Not anymore. You know, if you don't solder, I hope that watching me solder for a little while brings it into the realm of like possibility for you. You know, if you spend a little bit of money and get some tools, and if you buy a few practice kits, like Spark Fun has the little lighthouse kit. I love that kit. It's so much fun to put together. It's super quick, like hour project if you're brand new to soldering, maybe 2, probably 1. But that's just a great way to get started. Okay, so I'm looking at the instructions, and the instructions actually don't tell me to do the, random cotton swab came out of nowhere. It does not have me throw a bunch of solder in these, so yeah, I mean, I think it's probably pretty firm there, probably in good shape. So awesome. Okay, so now we're actually done with the oh, no, wait, no, we're not. How can we be done? We haven't done this yet. We've still got a few parts here. So let's take a look at what we have left. We have these 2 pin header things. There's a piece of cardboard here to protect these pins. Oh, the rain's really coming down now. Really coming down. We have another DB25 that goes on the daughter board. I gotta look at the instructions again. Let's see. Oh, the rain. You probably can't hear it. I don't think the microphone's gonna be that sensitive, but it is really coming down outside, which again is just super soothing. Yeah, I mean the instructions on how to do the daughter board are clear, but what I don't understand, I can't tell if there's thunder or not. No, it's not thunder. Another reason why hearing some rain is very soothing is we just had a new roof put on, and so, oh, it's really coming down. Not gonna lie, if I wasn't in here on a live stream, I'd be going out there and looking out the front porch at the storm. Let me see really quick if I can share my desktop with you. Let's see. Window capture, display capture. I don't know what's gonna happen. Oh. OBS has to quit to enable display capture, so that is out. We can't do that. Okay, so thank you for walking me through all this. If you're putting the Raspberry Pi, if you're gonna put the Pi 0 on top, I think I'm gonna do the Pi 0 on top. You put the female header on the Pi 0, and the male pins on top of the RasSCSI. So, just to be sure I'm clear on this, let's get a little bit closer than that. Yeah, okay, I think I understand. So, these little guys, they all go together. And then we're going to put these on Or no, wait, this is going to go, oh, no, that's the, hang on. Okay, I figured it out. And then this, which side do we put it on? I'll look at the pictures to be sure. I highly doubt that I'm choosing the correct side of the PCB. No. I thought I had it. Yeah, that one doesn't go there because there's not enough room for it. This one goes there. Yeah. And then this one goes here. And then we put pins on the bottom of the Pi 0. I'm pretty dang sure. The daisy chain board is labeled top and bottom. Yeah, I totally noticed that earlier. I just didn't pay attention this time around. Here we go. Top. And then this goes on the bottom. And then you have a bunch of pins that you probably want to cut off all that stuff. Let me double check the instructions really quick. Oh, no. You said, Hymax says that works. No, I don't want to do that works. I want to do it right. So what do you recommend? Should I put this on the Pi 0, which I'm not going to do tonight because I don't have a spare Pi 0 right now. Or should I put the pins on the Pi 0? You tell me. This is your board. I want to do it the way you intended. So you tell me the way to do that. But so while you tell me that, whether the pins should go on the Pi 0 or the pins should go on the RasSCSI, you tell me. But in the meantime, sorry to put you on the spot, let's go ahead and assemble this. Okay, I put the male headers on the RasSCSI and then the socket on the Pi 0. Cool. All right. I'm going to do it that way. So let's do that. So what we need to do is we actually need to cut our pins here. So that's how many we need. What time is it? 8:24. Been going for a while. This has been a bit, honestly, a little bit longer than I anticipated. Oh, we only needed one. That's convenient. So we cut it in half. Well, that one, the pin is bent on the end. Straighten that out. Okay. Cool. So what we're going to do is we're just going to come in. I'm going to try to be a little bit quicker. Let's try to get this done. Let's speed to the finish line here because I would like to hang out with my kids a little bit more tonight because I like them. Okay. How straight is that? Oh, put the short end in the hole. Yeah. Yeah, and then this will go in on top like that. Yep. No. Oh, no, I'm doing it wrong? Oh, no. Short end in the hole. Yeah, I did. I did put the short end in the hole. Okay. Whew. Oh, my goodness. About gave me a heart attack there. Although I'd only soldered one joint, so it would have been fine. Oh, man. Hey, it's actually pretty straight. I feel pretty good about that, but let's drop the other one in there. This one does have a bent pin. I'll fix it later. I'll straighten that little pin out. It won't be a big deal. But let's just pop both of those in there, and let's speed to the finish line here. I think we're really close. Oh, it just went really crooked. How are we doing? Can you see? Yeah, you guys can see. Okay. Check for, straightness in general. It can move a little bit, so what I'm going to do is yeah, that's better. I think this one could move a bit too. This is a fantastic way to burn yourself. Yep, I'm happy with that. They're sitting on the board nice and flush. So let's go to town on soldering these down. I did not intend for that to rhyme. Yeah, if anybody knows where I can buy like a pile of Raspberry Pi Zeros, 0Ws, please let me know. And no, none of this one limit per order garbage. I want to order like 10 of them, okay? I want to spend some real money and buy some real Raspberry Pis. I don't want to mess around with paying $10 for the Raspberry Pi and then $8 to ship it 5 times. No, thank you. So if you know where, please let me know. Because Raspberry Pi Zeros, that's the kind of thing that I want to have a bunch of them on the shelf ready to go. Like, I just want to have a little bin of them. You know? Hi Max says, socket it on there to make sure everything lines up. That's a really good idea. It does. In fact, I'm going to leave it on there. That should help ensure that everything stays aligned. That one was what I would call a cold solder joint. The pin got nice and hot. The hole on the board did not. So if you have like a little sphere, it like looks like a little round thing. That's a sign that you had a cold solder joint. Oh, what a fun little board to build. This is great. You know, it's some of that surface mount stuff was like a little bit on the challenging side. But you know what I would do is I would go to SparkFun and I would get their heart. It's H-E-A-R-T and the art is capitalized, so it's like it's art. Get their heart SMD board. I'm gonna reflow a couple of those. And practice on that. And it'll have you do SMD stuff that is smaller than this. And it's cheap. It's like $5-10, something like that. Buy 3 of them. And do that little board, you can solder up the RasSCSI. You know how I know? Because I just did. There's a bunch of cold solder joints here. I went way too fast. Take your time. Okay. I like that. Okay. Now the RasSCSI. Ooh, it's kind of warm. I'm going to let it cool off a bit. Whew, nice and warm. Okay, finish line. Let's do the daughter board. I'm just going to double check the photos again really quickly. My poor Super Nintendo back there, just over and over and over again, probably wondering if I'm ever going to play Super Mario. Okay, do long pins first. Okay, long pins first. Let me take a look really quick at... Yeah, okay, so I'm looking at the photos just to be sure. So I should be able to see the RasSCSI logo there. Thank goodness for photos. Yeah, okay. So, you know what I'm going to do to try to line up this connector a little bit? Is I'm going to clean my iron. You know what I want to do, actually? Let me give you guys, I want to give you on my close view, I want to add the top-down view so that you can see both. There we go. So now you can see that one. Actually, let's make it a little bit bigger. And then we can actually bring this one a little bit closer in. Yeah, okay, yeah, I like that. All right, so let's clean up really quick here. What do you guys think? Is that better? I think that's better. Hey, if that's your preference, I'm doing it. We're going for it. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually just going to pile a bunch of solder up on the I'm just going to pile a bunch of solder up on that, and I'm just going to bring it down here and try to get it to flow onto one of these pins. Get on there. Okay. It's very, very badly, it's not a good joint at all, but it's just stuck in place. That's all I wanted, is I just wanted to stick. Just wanted to keep it in place. Now I can do another one. And there's no risk of it falling off. So then we'll do the old push it straight down. Oh yeah, you probably didn't see that happen, but when I heated it up, it went thunk, and it really settled down on that joint. Now let's get it nice and hot to make sure that it flows really well. Good. Okay. Then we'll do the other one. Look what I'm doing. I'm using the iron to hold the board while I add a little bit more solder. A little bit too much solder, but whatever. It'll be fine. Nobody but, you know, all of you on the internet is looking, right? Okay, let's get really close so you can see what we're doing here. This is going to be a kind of a funny angle here. Ugh, that big old glob of solder. That's cold. Let's clean up the iron a little bit and we'll reheat that fluid down in there a bit. Yeah, that's okay. Ugh, no, it's cold. Yeah, that's better. Kind of get that little bevel in there. God, stupid bad lip reading song stuck in my head. It's been there all day. No, I'm not telling you which one. I don't want to wish that upon anyone. Oh, you can't see anymore. Check out that half full joint right there. Oh, the beautiful rain. Beautiful, beautiful rain. Anybody else getting rain right now? Glenn, I don't know if you're still on. You guys getting rain down there? So these long pins introduce a ton of thermal mass. So it's easy to get, it's just really easy to not get that hot enough. MacBook fan is just spinning away over there. You know, like MacBooks do. You know, I have a 2020 MacBook. I got a new one. And I like it, but the thermal throttling issues on it, I think, are pretty real. All right, Glenn says that they are. Some rain moving into the dry season. Okay, interesting. I wouldn't have guessed that this would be your dry season, Glenn. Ah, gosh, that's going to be annoying to get on that side. Let me look at the instructions really quick here. I want to double check. Once done, clip the extra length. Yeah, okay, so that connector is going to go here. Ooh, a little hot. So I don't want to install that yet because then I can't get back there. And that, yeah, okay, let me show you what I mean. Oop. Yeah, if you did, yeah, I need to solder the other side first. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take my Hakko snips. Oh, and the tape. Let's tape this thing down. Yeah, that'll work. Probably move around a little bit, but should work. So the one thing is when I put my head down to like, then the upper view is very, very blocked. I wonder if I can fix that at all. I can't really pan to the side too much. Yeah, I think I'll just leave it, whatever. It's meant to be kind of an auxiliary view anyway. Glenn, isn't it super late there? Oh, it's really annoying. It's moving around all over the place. This might be a time for my, whew, hot. This might actually be a pretty good time for the vise. The vise. Dun, dun, dun. Because we can clamp that thing in there. Oh, this screw isn't the one I wanted. I wanted to do this one down here, and then this one loose, so that way I can rotate it, get our tape off the bottom there. And let's bring our camera up a little bit. Gosh, everything's crooked. It drives me crazy. I like want it to all be 90-degree angles. Let's switch over to continuous focus mode on this thing and see how that does. And yeah, I think that'll work a lot better. Oh, my sponge is all dried out. Yeah, it's really dry. But we're almost done, so I'm not gonna worry about going and getting more water for it. Ugh, come on, slow down in there. Solder's just building up on the end of the iron. Ugh. You can tell I'm getting desperate. Okay. It needs to be reflowed. Yeah, and if you don't get this right the first time, you'd have to desolder the DB25 to fix it. Probably don't want to do that. But I really like the idea of this little pass-through. Definitely get a nice top of Joel's head view there. Sorry about that. I wonder if anybody's still with us. What do we got? Oh, still got 9 people on. And I'm impressed considering how long this has gone. I was going to be happy with just a couple of friends to come hang out, which is actually kind of what I got. So the one thing about this is that I wish, you know, it'd be kind of cool to pull like a Zoom or something in. So, you know, it'd be kind of fun to like bring a guest in for a minute. Be like, hey, you know, so-and-so, you're on the air. It'd be kind of fun. Oh, my poor family out there. I told them this was going to be like an hour and a half. It's just everything takes longer than you think, especially when you tell your family how long it's going to take. I bridged those really bad. Ah, here we go. Got it. Okay, we got to pop it out of the vise now because I can't get to those 2 on the end. Nice and warm. Oh, I got a bunch of cold solder joints to take care of here. So we're going to use the hand vise. Yeah, it's just the big, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to clip all these and then I'm going to reflow those connections. I'm going to do it right now because I think that these just kind of act as a giant heat sink. So to do that, I'm going to put our hand over the top so you will not actually get the satisfaction of seeing it. seeing me clip it because we don't want these little pins flying away. See, it hits my hand. Here, I'll show you one for fun. It's gone. Well, it landed right over here, but yeah, we don't want that. So point of no return here, huh? If I got this on wrong or backwards, it would be such a pain to desolder. By the way, these little Hako, oh, I didn't cover that one, and you saw what happened. These little Hako flush cutters are one of my all-time favorite tools. Oops, that one I didn't cover adequately. They're somehow at the intersection of fast, easy, and cheap, because you can get them on Amazon, so they're fast. They're like $6, so they're cheap, and they're good. So they are like a unicorn tool that achieves everything all in one go. And I love that. Careful, I just cut that one off really short. Okay, get that all out of the way. So let's take a look a little bit closer here. Hey, focus. Focus, there we go. Yeah, see how they're just kind of messy? I'm actually just gonna go through and reflow all of it really quick. And also take care of a couple ones I left. Oh, we're so close. We have like one connector to do after this, and this board is done. That one I cut off a little short, but it's fine. Just a bit more, a little more solder in there. Oh, you guys can't even see. What am I doing? Okay. Yeah, okay. So now that those are all cut, what I'm gonna do real quick is I'm just gonna run through, I'm just gonna reflow each one. The reason why is because first off, I had a few cold solder joints. Second, it just kind of smooths out the tops of these, because you know you've come in and you've made a mechanical cut. When you go through and just reflow it really quick, it turns them all into those nice little volcanoes again. Volcanoes are awesome. Okay, that one does not have enough solder, so let's add a bit more. Come here. In fact, I think I'm just going to keep this handy. Moving around a little bit, which is kind of annoying. Those all look good. That one needs a little touch up. And that one looks good. It's sliding around all over the place. Okay, I like it. I'm happy with it. Should we look under the microscope really quick? See how I did. It's funny when you get up close. They look so awful. Like they just look so bad up close. So see, you take that and you just reflow it really quick and you see how it just reforms into a nice shape. That one can use a quick. Yeah. Much better. Okay. Let's go to the finish line. Let's get this done. Okay, last thing is we need to, oh, you can't see anything. We need to put our connector on the top. Let me double check that I have it right really quick. So the picture shows that. That is what I see in the photo. And if we were to plug it in, it would look like that. So I'm going to say that that's correct. Excuse me. You can clip those pins down before you solder them all on. Yeah, I think you're right. That would have been the way easier way to do that. So lessons learned. Okay, we're down to the last few solder joints, and we will wrap this for the night. For all 6 of you that are still hanging out.
So then I got to find a night to actually get this thing configured. Well, first I got to find a Raspberry Pi, because I don't have any. I have a spare 0, but I don't have any spare 0Ws. I have 2 that are in my Prusa 3D printers. Got a Raspberry Pi 3 up on the shelf in front of me that's running a camera.
Oh, I forgot to double check and make sure that was sitting down. But it's great. It looks totally fine. Nice thing about that those mechanical connectors on each end.
That just makes that so much easier. And for work, I just built a rack, or like a rack of them. I have 6 of them in a 1U rack for work, to do like some traffic simulation kind of stuff on like Works network gear. That's kind of fun. I haven't got all the scripting side of that done, but I at least have them all in the rack, and they look really cool and they sound really cool with PoE and fans running and everything. I hope you guys can still see. I haven't looked up in a while. Yeah, you can see the back of my head too. Great fun. How was the live stream? Oh, it was great. We got to look at back at Joel's head for 3 hours. Okay.
Ooh, it's hot. Look at that. Ladies and gentlemen, that is one assembled. Not cleaned yet. I still need to clean it. Let's back up a little bit. That's a little bit. That is one soldered RasSCSI. Let's push this together. Oh yeah, beautiful. And now my fingers are all covered with flux. Look at that. You know, that is cool. And so compact too. Just teeny, teeny, tiny. And I kind of want to pick up another one. Thanks, Clark. Really glad you're here. Thanks for joining us. Yeah, this is cool. I think I'm going to pick up another one because I want to see what it's like. I want to build another one with a full Raspberry Pi underneath, because I think there needs to be like an enclosure or something that has like an Ethernet port, the Ethernet port available, power available, all that. And I definitely see why there needed to be an external power supply on this, because the Pi 0 goes right there. So awesome. Very, very cool. Hi, Mac/Lando Griffin. Thank you for this fantastic kit. This was a ton of fun to put together. And thank you, everyone, for joining and hanging out while I did this little project. This was just a really fun little Saturday evening project. So thank you, everybody, for joining me for this. This was a lot of fun. I want to do it again sometime. Definitely let me know, maybe what we should do next. Like I said, I've got a Game Boy Color display, a backlit Game Boy Color display that I want to install in a Game Boy Color. I've got it all in a box over here. It's one of the things that I need to do. We could do some 3D modeling stuff with Fusion 360, maybe. I think that would be fun. Also, I still have some like setup to do on my SE30. It'd be fun to maybe install macOS 7.5 on that and get that thing up and running. Although my CD-ROM drive quit working, so that's kind of a bummer. So I haven't been able to get that up and running. I need to get that figured out. But maybe, you know what? Instead of fixing the CD-ROM drive, maybe I just need to get this thing working and use this instead. I might do that. I want to fix the CD-ROM drive, but this would be a lot faster. So anyway, lots of other projects that we could do. Let me know if there's something that you would like to do. One thing I will try to do is, if you're interested in any of this gear that I kind of used tonight, I will throw, I might not get it done tonight, but tomorrow I will see if I can update the description on the video and link you to all this stuff. Maybe I'll do the Amazon Associates or Amazon Affiliates thing. So, I'll get like $1 if you buy a soldering iron kind of thing. But maybe I'll use some of those links just for fun. If it's stuff that you're interested in buying anyway. But yeah, I'll throw that in the description. And yeah, we'll do this again sometime. So, okay, I think that's all for tonight. thanks again for hanging out. Thanks, HiMac, for this. That's not the kit. This is the kit. Thank you so much for this awesome kit. This was a lot of fun to put together. Really appreciate all the effort that you put into designing and building this kit. And yeah, thanks again, everybody. We'll see you in the next PotatoStream. Bye now.